Okay.
Okay, so I haven't renamed myself yet, but good morning, everyone. I am Einav. I'm the director of the National Erasmus Plus office in Israel. And with me are my dear colleague, Naama Levi, who was behind all the operations of this day and still is. And of course, our colleagues and my sick son, who is also here with us. He wouldn't miss the meeting. And of course, our dear colleagues, Smadar Hirsh and Adi Mahler from ISERD that have kindly thought of this day with us to really create better synergies between the EU-funded programs working in Israel. Of course, our dear friend from the EU delegation, Andrea Carignani. I hope I pronounced right the last name. And our she was just here in Israel recently, Sara Pagliai, the head of the coordinator of the national agency in Italy, INDIRE. So we're very happy to have all of you here today. And I won't waste much of your time, just so you know that there is whoever isn't familiar yet with the National Erasmus Plus office in Israel, we are available to you with everything. We have events like these to promote cooperations with EU-funded opportunities through Erasmus, but not only. And this is just one example. And we have an email, we have a newsletter, and we're very happy to host this day. So without further ado, I will give the floor to Andrea, and I hope you all enjoy this productive for you.
Hi everybody, Bogentov. My name is Andrea Carignani. I am the head of the Research and Innovation section at the European Union delegation, that is the European Union Embassy in Tel Aviv. I've been appointed 2 years ago, and the role of the section is to promote the cooperation between Israel and the European Union under Horizon 2020 and now under Horizon Europe. I mean, our role is to not to steer but to supervise this whole cooperation. Just to set the scene and provide you with the relevant and recent developments. As you may know, Horizon Europe is now accessible to Israeli organizations and researchers. The association agreement has been signed in December last year. This means that Israeli organizations and researchers are eligible. This is in general. What is important to stress before this meeting starts is our whole cooperation and how Marie Curie has contributed. I started working at the European Commission 15 years ago, and I was in the Marie Curie unit. So this is really close to my heart. And I've been drafting the grant, the standard grant agreement. I've seen that over the years, this instrument has flourished, and I have to notice that also the cooperation with Israel has been really excellent throughout the years. Just to give you, I would say, some figures about our cooperation. I think that it is extremely important to say that Israelis were very, very successful, and Israel obtained for 45 million across Horizon 2020. These mobility patterns show also a sort of balance, because Israeli organization received 218 researchers against 221 Israeli researchers that worked abroad for this scheme. Israeli researchers involved in Marie Curie, there is also perfect gender, 49 and 51 for female and male respectively. The 3 fields in which I have some statistics provided by the colleagues in Brussels. I think this is important because this witness how good is the cooperation for Marie Curie. In life science, 33% of the Marie Curie scheme, engineering 90%, social science 70%. 28% of the Israeli participation was from non-academic sector, including small and medium enterprise. And we know how important is this sector in Israel, and how European Union is benefiting from this cooperation. Israel is an associated country and is ranking third, following Switzerland and Norway in terms of numbers. But the cooperation for Marie Curie, it reflects the overall cooperation. And when we discussed to renew this association agreement, it was key, stressing how good was the cooperation under the first pillar. First pillar is gathering European Research Council and Marie Curie. This is clearly the excellent science and institutes organization such as the Hebrew University, the Tel Aviv University, the Weizmann and the Technions, they emerge as the best ranked organization in general. So in discussing how our cooperation should continue under Horizon Europe, while for other sectors we have sort of criticism because we want to increase Israeli participation in collaborative projects, big projects with huge consortia. I don't think that we could improve, but already if we manage to match the participation and the quality of the participation that we had under Horizon 2020, this would be an excellent result. I don't want to say more because I think that these figures said it all. I'm very happy to open together with you this event. I inform you that we are constantly working with ISERD. National contact points for Horizon Europe, they have been appointed. Smadar will keep being the national contact point. So things that are working well shouldn't be changed. So I'm really happy that the team is the same. And please, you can rely on our embassy here in Tel Aviv in case you have further questions, so you have doubts. I know that the national contact point is excellent, but still we are here. And we are clearly supporting our cooperation that we keep cherishing, and it's great being with you. So thank you very much, and have a nice info day.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you so much, and we really appreciate the collaboration with the EU delegation and all your input. And now I give the floor to your colleague from Italy, Ms. Sara Pagliai, to talk about synergy of funds of EU projects and initiatives. And they have also a best practice. This is something rather new, so I'll give her the floor to expand on this.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Einav, for this invitation. I really have to thank the Erasmus National Contact Point in Israel, both for welcoming so warmly last week. It was last Monday and today. Well, I'm Sara Pagliai. I'm the head of the Erasmus Plus National Agency in Italy. And physically, I'm located in Florence because the national agency have two premises. The main premises in Italy is Florence. The other one is Rome, which is quite strange for the Italian geography, let's say, but it is how the national agency, the Erasmus National Agency works here in my country. So I will share my presentation. I hope to manage. Okay. Sorry, there is, I don't know. Can you see my screen? Okay. Well, first of all, some words about the Erasmus Plus program. As you know, we are in a new phase of the program because we are entering the new 7-year, so Erasmus Plus 2021-2027, which has seen really a big investment from the European Council, the European Parliament, and the Commission. We almost double the funding. I don't know, I'm sorry, there is some noise in my background because my neighbor of the office are doing some works. I hope this does not disturb too much. Anyway, I was saying that the Erasmus is really entering in a new phase with lots of investment in terms of resources. In fact, Erasmus has been considered, let's say, the flagship of the European Union, the jewel of our crown, let's say, and this year this program is celebrating its 35th anniversary. So really a big deal, a big success of this program that started in 1987 and now with the double of the funding is celebrating its 35th anniversary. How Erasmus changed during its history? Well, it changes a lot because it started as a program for mobilities of higher education students with some, let's say, with very few students around Europe. In total was about 2,000 students that moved from one country to another to study. Now we are over 10 million people that thanks to Erasmus have the possibility to study, to work, to train abroad in another country. And Erasmus also open to other sectors, so not only higher education, but education in general, so school education, vocational education and training, adult education, and then sport and youth sector. And Erasmus during these years also, let's say, open its doors also to the rest of the world. That's why in Erasmus now it is possible to do mobility also in other countries such as Israel. Well, again, which are the main policy priority that this program is tackling in this program period? As you can see, the program is mainly focused on sustainability, on the environmental sustainability, and so to give a support against the climate change. The other important policy of the program is the digital transformation and innovation. That means that most of the funding are focused on innovation and digital transformation. The other important point is the inclusion and diversity. The program is becoming more and more inclusive and trying to, let's say, make possible the participation of those people with disadvantaged background, so that the program has its own strategies for the inclusion. And then the other point is the participation and civic engagement, which is still very important. I go very quickly to say that all these in an overarching policy priority in education, that is to make a European education area by 2025, in which to improve quality of teaching and learning, inclusion again, digital transformation, and to make Europe a place more green, more sustainable, with the stronger connection also with other countries outside. Well, here just very briefly.
But Sarah, I think, did you change slide? Because we don't see it. We just see the first slide.
Really, I'm changing the slide.
Maybe try presenter mode or to reshare your screen. We still see the digital transformation, environment, and climate change.
Nothing. Oh my God. How? And now?
We see the same slide.
How possible? Because I see the new slide. I don't know.
Try pressing F5. F5 in your computer should help you.
Yes.
When you're sharing, you need to share in the Zoom. You need to share the right PowerPoint mode.
Yes, but now.
Yes, now
Yes,
we
now
see
it
what.
works.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know what's happening, but anyway, I hope you now I can't move my slide. Fantastic. Voila. That's just to briefly say how the program is working, how the Erasmus program is working, is mainly structured in 3 key action. Key action 1, that is all mobility, learning mobility of all staff, student, pupils, trainers, all people that want to do mobility within Europe and outside Europe, because there is a huge international dimension in the Erasmus program. Key action 2 is for project, for partnership, for cooperation. Cooperation, partnership, capacity building, all that means a network of organization, institution, universities is funded in Key Action 2. And then Key Action 3 are those projects which support the policy priority of the European Union agenda in the field of education, training, youth, and sport. Well, just to say here that, as I said, there are lots of opportunities also for mobility of students to go from Europe to other countries and from other countries to the European Union countries. And we saw last week with the Erasmus office that in fact we have a lot of cooperation in terms of project, but also mobility with Israel. And Italy is one of the most popular country for the universities in Israel, and vice versa. The Italian students are going to the Israeli university in good numbers. So I'm quite happy about this. We can increase the synergy, but okay, we will work on this. Well, then what I wanted to say, apart from the presentation of the general presentation of the program and its priorities and what is Erasmus about, I would like to say that in this new program period, 2021-2027, the European Commission insists on these synergies of funding. That means that, as you can see, in all the European program, the target, the level of the target to be reached, and the priority which are on the table to be reached by this kind of European program are really very demanding and very high. And how then is possible to reach this target, because yes, it is true that the Erasmus program increase the funding, but still it is not sufficient. So the European Commission put in place what is called the Synergies of Fund. That means that wherever there are some common target group, wherever there are some common goal to be reached, it is possible to have this union of funding. And in order to do this, the multi-financial framework of the Union envisage an increase in funding opportunity, both in Erasmus Plus, as we can see, as we saw, and also in the European social funds, and also in Horizon Europe, and so on. And it is possible to, let's say, act wherever there are some common objective. It is possible to act jointly. I want to give you an example of what we did, for example, in Italy with the Erasmus funds and the European social funds in a region of Italy that is Sicily. We invested 6 million, which were belonging to the European social funds, for increasing the cooperation in the Erasmus Plus program, in terms of increasing the possibility to a greater number of students to study abroad, to study in another country, but also from those students to come to Italy. And then we increased the number of the cooperation partnership, and we managed to have some capacity building project with countries outside the European Union in the Mediterranean area. Here you have all the features and objectives of this example of project, in which it was possible to move money from European social funds to Erasmus. And as you can see, we reached some targets, such as to increase the opportunities for international mobility of staff and students. We expand the network of in this case, Sicilian University with the strategic partnership. We increase the opportunity for schools, because we develop a joint project with other schools in Europe, but also outside the Europe. And we finance some exchange and best practice. So that was just a very simple example on how to, let's say, put together different funds coming from different strengths of the European Union, but at the same time to reach the same target group. Well, then I leave you with this address, that is the Erasmus Plus project results platform, where you can find all the practices in the last few years from all over the countries. So I think it is important to have also some inspiration for new project ideas. And this is the website of my national agency in Italy. We are also on social media, so you can follow us. And well, this is all from my side. I'm here available for now for questions, if there are some questions, but especially for future. And I hope that there will be a greater and stronger cooperation between Europe in general and Israel, but especially from my country, Italy and Israel. That is something in which I am really fully committed. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sara. Wow, that was a great presentation, and this is so for the first time you talked with me about this, I was so enlightened that I didn't even, I wasn't even aware of these synergies and these possibilities. And I'm sure this could be very helpful for our audience and for the people that are using our program and other EU-funded programs as well. And also another figure that you shared with me about Israel is that we have more partnership cooperation projects than capacity building projects. So this is a new direction that that the EU is going for, more synergies and more cooperation, and also internally EU-funded programs. So this is something that's very encouraging for a country like Israel to be more involved in partnership cooperations, and in general to ask and to try and to be a part of Erasmus in all its options, and not only the ones that we're fully familiar with. So thank you so much, and we will continue cooperation. I'm sure we will, and we'll have many more joint events. And I know it's very early in Italy now, so we need to appreciate.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I want just to say thank you for this intervention, that now within the Key Action 2 Cooperation Partnership, it is possible to, let's say, go more international, and this means that in all the partnership at the level of European Union is possible to include partner from other countries, and this is, I think, a good way through an Erasmus going worldwide. So you already have, because I was there for a Erasmus project of the municipality of Bodin, but I hope there will be more and more and more. Thank you.
Me too. Thank you very much. And now let me, unless there is a question for Sara, let me, okay, I'll give a pause. Okay, so let me introduce Smadar Hirsh from ISERD, also our dear colleague and friend, to introduce the Horizon Europe Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions. So Smadar, the floor is yours.
Thank you so very much. Let me first thank you, Einav and Nama, for organizing this event and strong cooperation that we have. And thank you, Andrea, for your kind words. And indeed, Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions are very close to my heart as well, so I fully understand you. And thank you, Sara, so very much for showing that there could be and should be connections and interlink between these two programs, and these are very, very important. I would like to introduce you to Adi Maleh. She is my new colleague, and she will present to you some of the things that we are about to talk about. Adi, it's not in a presentation mood at the moment. If you could change it a bit, our presentation, please. In the meanwhile, I will just say that at the very beginning, I will talk a little bit about ISERD, then I will introduce you a little bit to Horizon Europe program. Then we will go through MSCA generally speaking, and immediately we'll start. Thank you, Adi. And immediately we'll start with the different actions. We will focus on 4 of the 5 different actions under Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions. So we could start, please, Adi, first slide. Thank you. ISERD. ISERD is an interministerial directorate. The abbreviation stands for the Israel-Europe R&I Directorate. It is operated through the Israeli Innovation Authority, and we are the national contact point for participation in the European Framework program. We are also responsible for promoting the participation of Israeli entities in the European Framework Program. Our steering committee is, as you can see, is represented by various ministries and, of course, the Planning and Budgeting Committee of the Council of Higher Education. The chairperson is Dr. Ami Appelbaum, who is the chairperson of the Israel Innovation Authority. And ISERD was established in order to maximize Israel's participation in the framework program. Next slide, please. What do we do? So first of all, we try to encourage Israeli entities to participate in the program, but not only in Horizon Europe, but also some other related programs. We are in close connection, and one of the things is, of course, when we get interested people in Erasmus+, we know that Einav and Naama are the right address, and other programs as well, like the Coast and other programs managed and handled by others. We are also serving as the interface between the Israeli government and the European Union, meaning that negotiation is handled and was handled by our director of ISERD, and all the other issues that are handled under this respect. We are also representing the interests of Israel at the different program committees at the European Commission. Each program under Horizon Europe has a program committee, so we are representative over there. We serve also as national contact point, shortly NCP, for the different programs. That means that we are also involved in an international, mainly European, but not only, especially not under Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions. We have all our colleagues from all over the world that we are gathered in projects, and we work together in order to help and assist researchers interested in participating in these programs. As NCPs, we provide information and we use various means, but the most important part as NCP is that we assist applicants from the very first idea and concept through all the stages of successful submission and the management of the project. Next slide, please. Talking about the European framework programs, generally speaking, I would say that the different framework programs were designed in order to make it to be the main funding instrument for R and first of all, it was D, development, now it is I, innovation, ever since 1984. And it covers all major scientific and technological disciplines. That gives you, and especially in Marie Skłodowska-Curie, it is very important because it is a bottom-up program that covers all these different scientific and technological disciplines. It is also targeting the main European industrial sector, and the idea behind this program was, or the goals are, to strengthen the scientific and technological base of the European industry. It is now even more intensified in the past few years. It is also meant to support the policies and social challenges to find new solutions for that, and to create a strong European research area. You know that Europe, when it started the Union, it was more on the Western countries, and now later on the Eastern countries joined in, and there is a special program of widening, and all these different measures are meant to strengthen the European research area. Next slide, please. So Israel joined in 1996, which was the middle of FP4. Just to let you know, Horizon Europe is FP9. Okay, our status is associated country, and that provides us an opportunity to participate in research and development and innovation framework program as almost as equal to member states of the European Union. Next slide, please. Okay, this is just to show you that over the years, the budget increased dramatically, and you can see that even the years per program have extended from 4 years at the very beginning to 7 years right now. You see that Horizon Europe has a budget which is actually almost more than 1 billion euros for 7 years because of different things, and it will last for 7 years. Next slide, please. D. Okay. Participating countries, which are actually the countries which fund the program, are of course in the 27 EU member states. You can see them all, and also countries which completed the negotiation as associated countries. As you can see, Israel is one of them, and right now there are still ongoing negotiation of almost finalizing the negotiation with a few more countries. 5 of them are listed here, and maybe there will be more. We hope there will be some more. Next slide, please. Okay, important definition, especially in Marie Skłodowska-Curie, but not only, is about the researchers and organizations. Organizations are legal entities which could be of academic or non-academic, meaning that they could be governmental, non-academic can be governmental, industrial, some other kind of NGOs, whichever. So all these different aspects will later on be very significant when we talk about the staff exchange program. And one other thing that there could be when you organize a consortium, there could be a specific geographical eligibility criteria, but we will relate to that later on. Concerning researchers eligible to participate, they could come of any nationality. Sometimes there are special conditions, but we will leave that apart. And in MSCA, the most important thing is that there is a mobility rule and that it affects the academic and career stage per specific program under Marie Skłodowska-Curie. Next slide, please. Another definition which is important is the definition between beneficiary and associated partner. Beneficiary is an organization which, as I said, could be academic or non-academic, who signs the grant agreement. Usually in every consortium, there is a minimum number of beneficiaries in each project. As we said, there could be a geographical requirements, and these organizations receive funding directly from the European Commission. When we talk about associated partner, we are talking about organizations who contribute to the action, meaning that in Marie Skłodowska-Curie, they can host members, the staff, they can host the researchers, the young researchers, but they don't receive directly the funding. They receive it from the beneficiary per the activity that they conduct. So these definitions will be more important. You will understand them better, when we talk later on about the different schemes. Next slide, please. Going to Horizon Europe goals, you will see again that it is all about boosting and strengthening the scientific aspect, boosting the innovation capacity, and most important, these are also about competitiveness and jobs in Europe. And of course, one thing which is relatively new, relatively more enhanced, I would say, is to deliver the citizens' priorities and all the aspect of the socio-economic models and values. Next slide, please. Okay, and its vision is a suitable, fair, and prosperous future of the people and planet. You know, this is all about the SDGs goals. One thing that has increased dramatically in terms of value now is, of course, fighting the climate change. And you can see that in Horizon Europe, there is 35% of the budgetary target. And of course, the SDGs, as they were designed by the by the UN, is now being translated in this program by the European Union. Next slide, please. Okay. One thing that you have to consider is the fact that there is some policies, two relatively more enhanced policy. One is an open science, meaning that it is mandatory for every project to publish on an open access publication means. And of course, there is this special rule that says that it should be as open and as open as possible, meaning that if you have, for example, a patent or something, there are special measures to be sure that you will be able to register your patent first before you publish it on an open access, the information that is important. And one other thing that you have to remember, sorry, thank you, Adi. And another thing that you have to remember is that there should be a mandatory data management plan, which should be, as an abbreviation, FAIR, which is findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. And these are very important things when you plan your data management plan. Next slide, please. Another new thing concerning the new policy is the gender equality plan, which every organization is obliged to have. We are not talking about companies, but we are, when we looked at the list of participants, it looks like the organizations participating now, these are the ones who should have this gender equality plan. And you can see that there are many essential factors for gender equality, like work-life balance and gender balance in leadership and gender equality in recruitment, etc., etc. These are very important things, and I'm sure someone in your organization is taking care for that, but we just wanted you to be aware of these different aspects of the program. Next slide, please. Okay, so now here is the program. Here is Horizon Europe. You can see it is a huge program. It covers many different aspects. You can see that it is divided to 3 pillars and 1 pillar which is horizontal. The first pillar is all about enhancing European excellent research in the ERC, or the European Research Council program, and then boosting and then thank you, Sarah, very much. Thank you for being with us. And then the second program is about enhancing the careers of researchers under Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions, and then of course improving dramatically the research infrastructure in Europe. The second pillar is all about global challenges and European industrial competitiveness. These, as you can see, different programs by thematic field. The third pillar is more about the industrial aspects. And the fourth one, the widening participation, as I mentioned earlier, is all about enhancing the ERA, the European Research Area, and reforming and enhancing the European R&I system. But these programs we will not talk about today. We will focus today on Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions. So next slide, please. Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions. I would say that you can just look at the name and understand a few very important matters. The first is you can see, and most probably you already know, that Marie Skłodowska was a Polish woman who moved from Poland to France in order to conduct research. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that you know that she was an excellent researcher. And of course, the target of this program is to enhance and boost the career of excellent researchers with the most promising, prosperous career. And the last thing is that she won 2 Nobel Prizes related to 2 different scientific fields. And you can see that this is also about interdisciplinary, intersectoral, and of course, multidisciplinary mobility schemes. So you can have them all just by looking at the name itself. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's talk about the features. There are 6 important features. The first is that this is a training program to enhance and boost the careers and the skills and the career development. And we are talking about different stages, starting from PhD students and all the way to advanced, as they say in ERC, but all the way to through all the stages of career. On top of that, and I mentioned it a little bit, it is a bottom-up program, meaning that any scientific field can be here, can be funded as long as the project is of excellent research. The third issue is a mobility, which is essential. This is the heart of the program. To start with, it is an international mobility from one country to another. Then it provides you, on top of that, a cross-sectoral, meaning from academia to non-academic research organization and vice versa. And of course, interdisciplinary, as I mentioned, different scientific field, combination of different scientific field, whichever. And it also provides you with cooperation at two different schemes mainly. One thing which I love about the MSCA is the fair employment. It provides very good working conditions and working and employment conditions for researchers at any nationality. We will describe that issue much later. The impact aspect is, of course, to help organization and fund excellent programs, research programs. And one important aspect, additional important aspect, is also to strengthen the collaboration with the industry and SME. This is very important, especially as we know that many PhD students won't be able to find positions at the university and the academy, and industry sometimes could be even better option for some individuals who are looking for different aspects like more applicable research or things like that. So this program can sometimes be the first time for these young researchers to experience research in a different environment, completely different from what they were used to. Next slide, please. You can see that in Horizon 2020, the former program, there were more than 65,000 researchers, which including approximately 25,000 PhD candidates who were funded. 37% came from outside of the EU. I'm afraid to say that very few were from Israel, but I do hope that in the coming years, this will change. You can see that the budget was rather huge. For 7 years, there was 6.2 billion euros to cover these different actions. There were more than 1,000 doctoral programs. You can see that the companies, we were talking about the industry a second ago, there were more than 4,500 companies which were supported by this program. And you can see that this program stands a little bit above the minimum rough of the female participation with 42%. Next slide, please. There were some changes by the names, yes. There were some changes between the two programs from Horizon 2020 to Horizon Europe. And now the names of the actions are much more accurate and they are exactly what they then stand for. So doctoral networks mean networks that are aimed at training PhD candidates, while the postdoctoral fellowships, of course, aim at young researchers in a position of PhD who wish to go on postdoctoral studies. Then there is staff exchanges, and as you can understand from the name, it's any kind of research or related to research staff exchanges. MSCA COFUND is a special program which aims at co-funding programs aimed at training researchers at the PhD or postdoctoral stages. And the last program, which we will not talk about today, is the MSCA and Citizens, which is all about public outreach activities. You may know it, the Israeli one knows it as Leil Madanim. This is this program. Next slide, please. We will start now a little bit about different actions. I didn't ask you, but in case you have some questions, you may post them on the chat and we will try to answer them later on. Please don't hesitate to do so. So, MSCA doctoral networks. Next slide, please. Okay. This program aims at providing training and intersectoral mobility opportunities to the very best doctoral candidates. And we will see how it is done, so you will understand that the very best and the highly skilled candidates is really important here. As you can understand, since it is for doctoral students, first of all, you have to provide them with career development plan, which is not only for the duration of the project, but far beyond. It requires a very close supervision and trainings which are not focusing only on the research, but also on transferable skills, meaning to enhance their understanding of what is related and connected to their research, not only how to do the research itself, but what will it mean for them later on to be a PI, what will lead them there. And on top of that, there are also opportunities for international partnership from academic and non-academic sector. And as we mentioned before, like every other MSCA scheme, it is for all research domains, meaning it is a bottom-up opportunity. Next, please. Even though we say doctoral program, we actually mean a little bit of variations between three different options. There is a standard option, which is training in the academia and industry, and there is academic supervision, but it is a mixture of trainings. The next one is industrial doctorate, meaning that there is heavier impact and heavier emphasis on training at the industry. The research should be half of the time conducted at the industrial participant, and the supervision is joint by the academy and the industry, because the PhD diploma is provided by the academy connected to this industry. Then there is the third version, which is a joint doctorate, which is a joint collaboration by a leading organization, which can provide joint or multiple doctoral degree. And this is done by a joint selection and supervision of these organizations involved. Next slide, please. So who can apply? We are talking about a partnership, meaning consortium of various organizations, starting with universities, of course, because we're talking about PhD diploma at the very end. And on top of that, research organizations, businesses, non-academic organization of, let's say, NGOs, museums, governmental, whoever can contribute to the excellence of the research development of the career development of the young fellows. We are talking about at least 3 independent legal entities, let's say university, an industry, and let's say a research organization at the very basic, let's say. Each is established in a different EU member state or associated country, let's say Israel, and at least one of the 3 is established in an EU member state. So for example, since we have here a few representatives from different countries, we have here, I could see someone from Romania and someone from Moldova and someone from Israel. This could be an initial consortium, okay? I could tell you that it is not enough. Usually we're talking about a larger consortium, but this should be the very basic role. When we're talking about the scheme, which is a joint doctorate, it is a little bit more complicated. When we're talking about at least 3 independent legal entities that must be entitled to award doctoral degree, meaning these are universities which can provide a PhD diploma, but at least 2 must be institute conferring a joint or multiple degrees in an EU member state or associated country. And in this sense, I should say, it cannot be something between these 2 organizations which they just want to have right now. It is something that should be there established between the countries, something that here you can talk to the Council for Higher Education and be sure that it is in the line. And of course, on top of this minimum, every other participant can join from 3rd countries. 3rd countries are all the countries which are not member states or associated country. So they can join in as well. Next slide, please. Yes, and these specific projects are what is known as early stage researchers, meaning PhD candidates. And these can be of any nationality as long as they stand at the, by the mobility rule. You can read it here because we are a bit behind schedule, but this mobility rule is very important. So you will be able to look at it later on. Next slide, please. So the consortium of this doctoral network has up to 360 person months or 540 person months. It depends on the kind of project. But what it means, actually, it means that you can recruit up to 10 researchers for a duration of 36 months, or 15 if we are talking about industrial doctorate program, just to provide them with these various different PhD studies. And of course, the project runs for 46 months, for 48 months, as you can see, but I told you that each fellow will be recruited for up to 36 months. So you will see here that there is a gap, and this gap is very important for you as a consortium in order to organize yourself and have some time at the very end of the project in case there was a break or something in the fellowship, or there was a shift or something. So this is just for you to run it smoothly. There is a new phrase that you have to learn, secondment. Secondment means that a fellow spent some time at a different organization outside of the host organization, and that could be done up to 1/3 of the fellowship duration. And when we are talking about the industrial doctorate, we are talking not about 1/3 of the fellowship, but at least 50% of the time should be spent conducting research at the non-organization sector. Okay, here you can see the budget, how it is broken down to two parts. One is the contribution for the recruited researcher, and the other part is the industrial unit contribution. You can see that it is described as person months. It is recruits the fellow. You can see that there are different aspects. I want to go through that. Oh.
We can't hear you. You like.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
But it's like in a gap.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, Smadar. Okay.
So Smadar, you're on. Adi, maybe you'd like to continue until Smadar.
Okay. Thank you, Smadar. I will continue from here. So, like, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so as Smadar mentioned, this is a table explaining the grant amount per month. It is divided for the recruited researcher and the granted the monthly grant for the host organization. We will share with you the slides, and you can review it in more detail. We have also there links to the Skłodowska-Curie work program, so you can see more conditions regarding the grant. And just a second. And as for the times of the call, of the next call for the doctoral networks program, the next call will open on May 3rd with a deadline on November 15. This call has a budget of about 430 million euros. Please note that there are resubmission restrictions. Then that is because the European Commission would like to also is receiving thousands of applications per year, per call, and would like to raise the quality of the applications. So So a proposal that is receiving scores that is less than 80% will not be able to submit in the following call. It will need to wait one call, and after that it can submit. So make sure to have a really good proposal, either to win it or to at least go to receive at least more than 80%, so that you can reapply in the next call if needed. Again, we will share the slide, and you can follow the link for the call information on the European Commission page. I will move to the next program, the Postdoctoral Fellowships, who some of you know by the name Individual Fellowships. This was the previous name at the Horizon 2020 framework. This one is for researchers that are more experienced. They already have a PhD. So now they would like to do their postdoctoral fellowship in a different organization. So here as well, the purpose is to empower the creative and innovative potential of young researchers that would like to gain new skills through advanced training and intersectoral and interdisciplinary mobility, so that they can advance their careers and find the optimal position at the end of this fellowship. And in this program as well, it can be, as I said, it's intersectoral. It can be either in different academy organization, or it can be in the industry. So here as well, the researchers can be from any nationality. There is also here the mobility rule that Smadar mentioned, and there will be a bit more details about it as well in another slide. It is a bottom-up approach in here too, like all of the Skłodowska-Curie actions. So researchers can submit a proposal for all research domains. Interdisciplinary, intersectoral, and international experience is gained here. It is a combination with the academy and industry as you choose, and the purpose is to intensify and have an exposure or secondments to training in entities beyond academia, and to improve guidance towards career development by supervision of academy or industry. There are two kinds of grants, which I will elaborate in the next slide. So there are two tracks, a European Fellowships track and a Global Fellowships track. The first one, the European Fellowships track, is for researchers that would like to have their postdoctoral fellowship in Europe. And when we say Europe, we mean all of the European Union member states and the Horizon Europe associated countries, suppose Israel. And when we talk about outside Europe, we mean third countries. The term is third countries, which are countries that are not the European Union member states or associated countries. So for the European fellowships, this is, as I said, these are for researchers that would like to have a position in organization in Europe. Global fellowships are for researchers that would like to have a position outside of Europe. As you can see here, there are different terms for each of them. If we are talking about European fellowship, their duration would be from 1 to 2 years of recruitment in Europe, and then there is an option to have another 6 months that are being funded as long as they are in a non-academic sector. And for the global fellowship, it is 1 or 2 years recruitment outside of Europe, and then there is a mandatory 1-year return phase to Europe. And Europe means, again, it can be either in a European Union member state or an associated country. There are additional options of placement or secondment in addition to the recruitment. So these are optional and they can be combined. We'll share with you the slides because we're a bit behind schedule, and you can review it. But these are also additional options for the researchers to combine more sectors within the fellowship. So who can apply this one? It's not unlike the doctoral networks. This one is a single submission by one independent legal entity. It should be published either in an EU member state or Horizon Europe associated country. It is submitted together with the researcher. So the host organization and researcher are submitting the application. The entity can be, again, either from the academic sector or the non-academic sector. The beneficiary, the host organization, will employ and supervise the researcher during the action. And the organizations that are hosting their researchers for what we call a secondment will participate as associated partners, meaning they will not receive funding directly. They will receive their the partial expenses from the beneficiary. Researchers that can apply will need to be in possession of a PhD degree, or will need to be after the time where they successfully defended their doctorate, their thesis by the deadline of the call. Okay, so at the deadline of the call, when they are submitting the call, they should already have a PhD or defended it successfully. The mobility rule also applies here, which will, unfortunately, we cannot go into too much detail, but again, we'll share the slides. The researchers applying should have limited research experience. In the minimum, they should have the PhD. In the maximum, they should have no more than 8 years of experience after completing the first PhD that they received. There are some exclusions there, like maternity leave, paternity leave, and other periods of time that are not being counted in the 8 years. And you can read it more thoroughly when we share the presentation with you. Here you can see the unit cost contribution for the grant, also monthly. It is divided to the grant that is being given per month to the recruited researcher and to the host organization. We will also note that there is a coefficient, a correction coefficient that is being added to the country, according to the country that the researcher is placed. So, for example, if you're talking about Israel, then there will be an addition 7.2% that is added to the living allowance, and you can see the full list of countries and their correction coefficients in the Skłodowska-Curie work program. The next call for the postdoctoral fellowship for 2020 will open on May 12th. Currently, there are some places in the official website of the European Commission that says that it will open in April, but we received information that is going to be open in May. but what you should really, what is should be important to you, and this, as far as we know, is not going to change, is the deadline. The deadline is September 14. The call has a budget of about 260 million euros. And also here applies a resubmission restriction because of the high number of applications that are being submitted, about 10,000 applications per call, and the European Union Commission would like to raise the quality of the proposals. So proposals that are receiving a grade below 70% will not be able to submit in the following call. So again, make sure to have a really good proposal so that even if you won't receive receive a grant at that call, you will have at least 70%, so you can apply right after the next call. The confirmation is in the link that is added to the presentation that we will share. The next program is the staff exchanges.
Adi, do you want to have like a short pause? Maybe people have questions on the previous programs, or do you want to leave it all to the end of the session? Whatever you decide.
It would be great if you can answer all the questions at the end. Thank you. Thank you. And please do submit your questions. We will answer everything at the end. We really want to just make sure that we are not behind schedules, but afterwards we can answer all the questions you have. The next program is the staff exchanges. The staff exchanges is funding, as it says, the exchanges of staff between different organizations. The staff can be not only doctoral candidates or PhD already, or those that already in possession, researchers already in possession PhD. They can be any supporting staff, any staff supporting innovation and research. And the purpose is to upgrade the staff and the collaboration between the organizations, to share knowledge, to integrate new knowledge, and also to combine different sectors and different disciplines. So as I mentioned, it is open to any type of staff that is contributing to the research activities. There are secondments there as well. There are international, intersectoral, and interdisciplinary. The emphasis of the proposal should be the added value of the collaboration. And it is a lean and flexible tool to support collaborative research and innovation projects. This is not a single application by a single entity. These are partnerships. They can consist of universities, research institutes, businesses like SMEs, or any other kind of entity. At least 3. Same rule like the doctoral networks. So you need to have at least 3 different legal entities, each established in a different European Union member state or associated country, with at least 1 beneficiary from a European Union member state. And on top of this minimum, any third country can join. However, it will not receive funding directly. They should comprise of different sectors. However, the entities can be from the same sector if one entity is from a third country. There are all kinds of different conditions in this program, so I really recommend to afterwards read thoroughly the presentation and the links that we added to it, and so you can understand it more. The target group here is the staff, which is being exchanged between the participating organizations. Can be any kind of staff. Again, it can be researchers or managerial staff or technical staff or administrative staff, any staff that is supporting the project with regards to the innovation and the research aspects. The size of the grant will be for up to 360 person months. The duration is up to 4 years until project implementation. These are 48 months. And when there are secondments, meaning the staff is exchanged to a different organization, it can be of a minimum 1 month and up to 12 months for the same staff member. In this table, you can later read more thoroughly. These are the conditions where how the travels between the colleagues abroad can be made, and which kind of travels can be supported. So please look at it more thoroughly after the event when we share the presentation with you. The monthly grant here again divided per person for secondment staff member and for the institution. The overall and the average budget per project is about 1.6 million euros. So, and it is covering the travel expenses, the accommodations, and subsistence costs related to the secondment, and as well as the additional costs of the hosting organization, such as research, training, and networking contribution, or management and indirect contribution. The next call will open on October 6th, and the deadline is on March 8, 2023, with a total budget of over 77 million euros. And you will have access. You can search on the tenders portal of the European Union, or you can use the PowerPoint here to read more about the call. The next program is the Marie Skłodowska-Curie COFUND program, and I see that Smadar has joined us, so she can continue from here.
Thank you very much, Adi, and sorry for my disappearance. I hope it was the first and last one, hopefully. So let's talk about the MSCA COFUND program. Adi, next slide, thank you. So COFUND, as you can understand, is a co-funding, and it is a co-funding of programs that aim at recruitment and support research training activities aimed at doctoral and postdoctoral researchers. And we are talking about programs which are important for international mobility. Of course, it could also be intersectoral, etc. But the most important, the basics rule is international mobility. One of the reasons is to upgrade the standards of different kind of mobility programs that are in different organizations at different national level programs, etc., and to upgrade them so that they will meet better the European standards, closer to the MSCA standards. And not only that, it is also to help these programs upgrade the terms for the working conditions that they provide to the different candidates. It is a mono-beneficiary action, meaning that only one organization is involved, but this organization can be a national organization, let's say the Council for Higher Education, for example, in Israel, or an organization which is a university or a huge research organization, etc., which already has or is about to have a mobility scheme. So as you can see, it can be something new or something which already exists, and it can be at national or regional or even institutional level. And as you may understand, again, this is a Marie Skłodowska-Curie program. We are talking about all research disciplines that could be covered under this program. Next slide, please. As we mentioned, these programs are addressing two audiences, let's call it, the doctoral students and the postdoctoral students. As such, there are two different programs. The first is the doctoral program, which recruits young researchers at a doctoral stage, meaning that they, at this stage, they don't have a doctoral PhD yet. And it is mandatory to enroll them in a doctoral program in an EU member state or associated country. While the postdoctoral program, of course, recruits researchers who already have a PhD diploma, and they are aiming at their first stage of postdoctorate program, the first stage towards independence and becoming a PI. Yes, it should be, thank you, Adi. It should be mentioned that since we are talking about national or regional or institutional programs, we are talking about enhancing their programs, meaning that you should remember that at all time the conditions could be a bit different than MSCA. The dates will be different, everything will be a bit different, the forms will be different, it will follow the institutional rules, but or the national or the regional rules, but the overall, the frame will be enhanced and improved according to or closer to the MSCA conditions. So who can apply? We said it is a single, it is a mono beneficiary, meaning that a single legal entity in the European member state or associated country can participate, and this organization should should have a program for at least 3 researchers that could be recruited. These researchers could be of any nationality, meaning that you don't have to recruit only your own nationality. It can be open. That means that it could follow, let's say, the postdoctoral ideas Adi told you about, like recruiting researchers from all over the world going to your country, or maybe researchers who studied in your country going abroad. It could change according to your needs and expectations. And of course, we mentioned it that it should co-fund new or existing activity. And the most important part is that it contributes to the research and innovation by enhancing the human resources at regional and national or international level. Again, you have here the mobility rule, which should be very carefully observed. Next slide, please. Each organization, each mono-beneficiary can run the project for a duration of up to 5 years. And the minimal recruitment is for 3 months. But they should provide a full-time equivalent, a full-time employment basis to each and every fellow that they recruit. there is an opportunity to provide these researchers, the young fellows, an opportunity of 1/3 of the fellowship duration as secondment to another organization, which could be an advancement for them. Next, please. These are different conditions. As you can see that even because the costs of PhD student is a bit lower than postdoctorate researchers, you can see that the salaries cannot be the same, and therefore the contribution cannot be the same. And again, we are talking about the various conditions as presented by Adi earlier, so I don't want to get into that very in full details. Next slide, please. The 22 call will open on October 11, as you can see, and will end at in February already. The 95 million euro covers both schemes, the doctoral program and the postdoctoral program. Each organization decides by themselves whichever scheme is more suitable and they would like to apply to. So actually later on, when the proposals are submitted, we know how this 95 million euro are divided between these two schemes. And you will find all the call information and opportunity at the link below, at the bottom. Here, we just wanted you to see all the different calls, the timetable, because we know that you will be involved in some of these schemes more intensively and in some maybe less, but for you to see where the most pressure will be. So this is again, just to show you all. And here you have all the useful links. So right now it is the work program of 21-22, and as you could see, the 22 calls are about to open soon enough, some of them. So you have it here. There is a very nice video provided by the European Commission about it is MSCA in a nutshell. It is worthwhile looking at. Some information about the open science and open data could be provided in the following link. There is the Euraccess portal, which is very important because the Euraccess portal actually enables you to publish positions offered in your, what we call vacancies in your organizations, which could attract young researchers from all over the world. So it's an excellent opportunity for you to publish your vacancies there. Science Abroad is an Israeli organization where you could ask for information about potential researchers interested in returning to Israel, and they could be very relevant for organizations interested in hosting postdoctoral fellows. The last link we have here is actually the website that we run. It's ISERD's website, and Adi and I do our very best that all sorts of information which we find very useful is uploaded there. So you could go to different web pages, but we tell you that we get their information from the European Commission and from the Euraccess and all other sources. So this could be rather useful for you. And I think that was our last slide. Yes, and we wish to thank you again for your participation and listening to us. It is time now for questions. I think it would be the best. So are there any questions at the chat? Central Asian, oh, sorry, can't